We are rolling.
Good morning. Welcome back to the conversation. This is Midlife Crisis Activities. This is our lifestyles and pop culture webcast. Our daily shout out to the world. I'm your host, Patrick Russell. And over there is my very vivacious producer, Veronica. Together we're here to lend our voices to the noise from a multi-generational perspective to help explain everything that's right and wrong in this world. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to you, Veronica. For tax accountants, it's not the biggest holiday in the world to us, right? It's pretty much a full-on working day, very busy. But for those that are able to either stay home from work or school, we hope that you enjoy your day off and get that rest. It's going to be a busy year. Yep. So, big news coming out of Oregon State University, Veronica, basically just supporting what I've already said many times, that cannabis does add and complete a healthy and universally sound, emotionally stable life for an individual. I believe it's an important, critical component. And Oregon State University researchers just added to my argument by stating that there's a chance, research has showed that there's a chance that cannabis, sativa, that there's a component that might actually protect you from COVID-19.
Pretty interesting.
What they're determining is that there is cannabis oil that has a component that blocks, or I should say binds to that spike protein. We've seen that spike protein of the SARS-CoV virus. We've seen that under the microscope. Well, it binds to those spike proteins, and if you recall, those spike proteins are necessary in order to attach to the human cell, which allows them to infect the human body. Well, apparently, cannabis stops that from happening. It binds onto those protein spikes, which of course prevents that critical step of entering into the human cell. And I've always said myself, I've been putting myself into dangerous situations this entire epidemic. You know, whether it be through clients, whether it be through family or kids. I put myself and exposed myself to several situations where I think the big bad COVID-19 would have taken a bite of my ass, and it hasn't. Hey, I gotta believe that it has to do with my daily routine of, enjoying my cannabis recreational. Would you call them medicine?
Medicine, that's how we call it.
On a daily basis, and I think that's probably protected me. From a younger generation's perspective, Veronica, I've got to ask, what do you think of your sobriety if it's been costing you a protection of COVID-19? What do you think of the cost of your sobriety? Your thoughts?
Gosh, I might have to change my routine then. I got sick for about a weekend or so. A couple of days.
Twice already.
Twice.
Within the epidemic period, right? We don't even know if it was COVID-19, but more than likely you got something.
Most likely.
And still, yet here I am standing, and I will, not tempt fate. It's not like I'm asking to get sick, but there's research to show now that there's a scientific and proven answer as to why I've been able to be exposed in certain situations to COVID-19, and yet so far have been very, very fortunate not to have gotten really sick. Okay.
There's a lot of good things about obviously having to smoke based on what I'm reading, and I don't think we pay, or I guess people don't pay a lot of attention to like the positive things about smoking weed.
And there's so many, we know from our research of having to apply and get my state license, my medicinal license from the great state of Arizona. I had to go through the process, and I filled out the application, the insomnia, the anxiety, the trouble eating. Well, you saw me fill out the application. You know what I wrote down. So it's these very studied and well-versed benefits of cannabis that we've always talked about in the past. But now we're talking about another situation where nature has provided. Right now we're looking at a situation where nature has provided us with potentially a natural barrier to future infections to the COVID-19 virus. And I got to say, for me, that is a wonderful argument to be made now against the demonizing of weed. I think that's still happening. Don't you believe, Veronica, that the demonizing of weed, whether it be in culture, whether it be in business, right? Banks giving out small business loans to dispensaries. We know that that's a big barrier. What are your thoughts now on finally bringing down that curtain of demonizing weed and now allowing researchers, thinkers and helpers to actively and openly look at some of the benefits of cannabis and what beautiful life benefits it can provide. Your thoughts on that?
Well, the great thing about humans is that we can comply or maybe adjust to a lot of things, and I think we have to move forward with like future thinking and open-minded, right? Because a lot of people or older people might say, okay, Patrick, well, this is not right because, you know, you're kind of encouraging people to smoke. It's not the point. The point that we're trying to make, at least from my perspective, is like that it's not like before, like in the 50s, 60s, where, you know, people were used to get scared when they hear someone say, no, I smoke, you know, I do this. It's not like that anymore. And we have so many problems, mental problems, that might be able to get fixed by some pills or maybe smoking a little bit, just because that's, I mean, let's face it, it's just a new. So I don't think we should be scared. I'm not scared about, you know, the topic. And, you know, my dad and I were talking about this a couple of days ago, and he's like, yeah, why not? You know, he actually smoked some weed when he got
for medicinal purposes. He had a back issue, pain management,
and he was fine with it because, I mean, that's a new. Instead of taking a pill, I would prefer to smoke than taking a pill, to be honest, because I don't know what the pill has compared to what I'm smoking, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So just final note, Canada, now it's not just OSU researchers, there's been other studies done, and now in Canada the story goes on that the synthetic cannabis oil that we find in CBD could also have that special component that blocks the spike protein of the COVID-19 variant. So it's not even the actual natural weed that potentially could be helping and giving you a protective barrier. Those that smoke the CBD, the synthetic oil, also may be giving themselves inadvertently a protection against this season's virus.
Last question for you. Why, and this is kind of like a general question that we always ask ourselves, but why do you think people are so scared of being open about it?
That's a very good question. I don't know the exact answer to that. I think a lot of it has to be cultural. You know, there's a certain crime element that's associated, especially specifically with marijuana, has been from the 60s and 70s. I think more to that, we're feeling the effects of, you know, bad publicity, bad media, as well as that cultural connection that still perseveres, where it's a lower class or a criminal element is always associated with the presence of weed. And I think now more than ever, that should be completely vanquished. Guys, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, but there definitely is your opinion. Please don't just subscribe to this channel, even though we will be doing this back and forth on a daily basis. But lend your voice to the show, it'll make it a whole lot more fun. Guys, remember, it doesn't matter what comes your way today. It doesn't matter what obstacles or challenges that you may face. You just need to remember one thing.
Give 'em hell.
Happy MLK Day, everybody.